We are live. Okay. Call the meeting to order. Everyone's had a chance to review the agenda?
Yes.
Yes. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Councillor Adams makes that motion. All those in favor? That is carried. We'll start off with delegations, the Slave Lake Regional Arts Council. So ladies, if you want to come up here, I believe you need to state your name and address for the record, and then the floor is yours.
Is it on? Hi, I'm Connie Baird from Slave Lake, here representing the Lesser Slave Lake Regional Arts Council.
And I'm Sherry Smears, Slave Lake, doing the same thing.
So what we're bringing to the table today is that the Slave Lake Arts Council would like the town council support on a mural project that we have in the works, whereby we're looking at looking to beautify the town by adding a number of large outdoor murals to a number of buildings throughout the town of Slave Lake. We need to know if there's a process in place that we need to follow. Are there any bylaws and whatnot that we need to follow? And we're hoping to get some support from the town of Slave Lake. Our short-term goals, we'll be concentrating on the downtown core over the next 5 to 6 years, hoping to add 2 to 3 murals each year. We're hoping that we can at least, and we realize we're sort of getting a late start for this year, but it's something that we want to get moving on. And we're hoping to get 2 murals done this year. We've already received permission from the Legion to do that large wall right on Main Street. And we're still waiting for approval from a couple of other buildings that we have gone to. We haven't received a positive yes or no on that. Our long-term goals, we'd like to branch out to other areas, not just the downtown core, but over the next 10 years or so of branching out through the whole town and doing a broader variety of different murals. We're hoping to do a continuous upkeep and addition of these murals forever, as long as somebody will keep the program going or the project going. As far as the themes, we understand that the theme for the revitalization of the downtown core is Nature Unlimited. And we will be keeping that in mind when asking for artist renderings. However, we will also be looking for a specific Legion theme for the Legion building. The other themes that we'll be asking for will be Indigenous, 4 seasons, tourist draws such as the lakes, wildlife, trails, ice fishing, fishing, boating, as well as historic murals depicting the history of the area. As far as the artists go, we're hoping to receive approval, once we receive approval, permission from whoever the approval and permissions are going to come from. We'll be putting out calls for local mural artists from this region. And if not successful, then we'll reach out to other muralists in the province. Our main focus will be on local artists. Plaques will be done up for each mural with a title, artist, year, and sponsor. Of course, we would like to, once we do get the murals going, we'll be doing up pamphlets and whatnot, leaving them at the Vic, encouraging visitors to view. Social media will also be used to bring the tourists in. We would like to add highway signage to market these murals. So we feel that the benefits of the mural project will be pride in the community, beautifying the town by adding art to the many blank walls, helping in the revitalization of the downtown core, and a tourist draw to not only the downtown core, but over time, the entire town. As far as the costs, we have been in contact with the town of Stony Plain, where they have a number of murals that they have on a number of their buildings. They estimate approximately $100 per square foot. We, of course, will not have a definite dollar amount until we received estimates from the artists. The Legion building is approximately 1,000 square feet. And the other building that we're hoping to get this done is this year is 1,246 square feet. So we're looking at, the Arts Council is looking at a budget of approximately 13,000 to 15,000 for each mural. And how we plan on paying for these, we're hoping to round up some arts grants, some sponsorship, and the town of Slave Lake monetary support. What we would like from the town of Slave Lake, after a bit of research with the town of Stony Plain, we found that they actually have a public art policy whereby they put aside 1% of their annual budget towards art and culture in their community. The town administration are the actual art project managers of these projects. And therefore, we're hoping that the town of Slave Lake will buy into this project proposed by the Slave Lake Arts Council. We've actually, I think that you should have received the policy that I submitted. Yeah, so we've submitted the town of Stony Plain's public art policy for your reference. And we would like to see the town set up an annual budget for arts and culture in our community, whereby funding would be available for projects such as this. In essence, we feel that the Arts Council is doing the planning and the legwork for the town on this mural, which really, you know, if you look at Stony Plain, that's sort of they're taking the lead, but the Arts Council in this case is taking the lead. So we don't think it's unrealistic to ask for funding, seeing as we're doing the legwork and the planning for these projects. We realize that setting up an annual budget is something that would have to wait until next year's budget. But in the meantime, if you could find some dollars to help fund 2 of these murals this year, it would be very much appreciated. And with an annual art budget set up by the town, monies would then be available for the addition and upkeep of these murals. That's pretty much it for the mural project, but the Arts Council will also be working on other projects to help beautify the town of Slave Lake over the next few years. And we would appreciate support and acknowledgement of these projects. So I think that's pretty, anything you wanted to add, Sharon?
No.
Awesome. Thank you. I love it. I'll open the floor to my colleagues if there's any questions. Councillor Brando?
Thanks, Connie. I really loved the murals that were downtown after the Arctic Winter Games, and they were great. So I am actually for this project, although I have some questions.
Yep.
So is your ask when you say some dollars? So you're just asking for a number? Like, do you have a specific ask for this year?
Yeah, we would like, you know, because we're starting late, I don't know what we're going to get for sponsorship. And we're hoping that you can provide 2 murals for us this year.
So the
Money
13
for
to 15,
13 to 15 per mural.
up to 30
So we're
grand.
looking
Okay.
at about 26 to, yeah, 30,
Okay.
26 to 30,000. Yeah.
And then will we get to see the list of buildings eventually once you are?
Yes,
are there?
and we have a list, but I didn't want to sort of bring it, you know, the horse before the cart, because we would like to be contacting these business owners prior to releasing a list of ones that we're looking at. But certainly the downtown core.
And that's where you're starting, just like the Main Street downtown core? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So what's the support been like for the owners?
As I said, we've only received one answer. absolutely supportive of it. I've talked to a couple of the others, as long as they're not wanting, like nothing formally permitted, but they're, as long as they don't have to put out any money, and that we will look after them, and that they have a, you know, a say in what the artwork is,
Yeah. And
they're
that's,
okay with it.
that's probably something that the town is probably going to want for you is an agreement for maintenance. So it
Right.
doesn't get.
And that's what we're
destroyed every
hoping
year.
that the town will also agree upon, is that they will help with the maintenance of this project. So if you do set up, you know, an art and culture budget, the money that you set up for that could be used for
Oh, and then
the,
you'll want us to maintain it
not you to maintain it, but financially,
financially. Okay,
mhm,
okay,
with that budget.
okay. And then last question about the highway signage.
Mhm.
So
Just trying to draw the people in, you know, downtown murals or Slave Lake murals. Yeah,
okay, yeah, so you'll have to work with transportation on that. one.
correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm done.
Anyone else? Counselor Adams?
No chuckling over there. My question, I understand that you're going to be instigating this and kind of managing the project and you're relying on grants, but if you're looking at 15 grand a unit from the town to supply, what's the, lack of a better term, the Arts Council kicking in financially for this? Or is it going to be 100% funded by the town?
We're
as
all
we're after?
volunteers, so
Yeah,
yeah, so whatever grant money we can get, whatever sponsorship money we can get, and whatever money we can get from the town.
One of the concerns with doing this was that we didn't want it to be like the Arctic Winter Games when they started to
Yeah.
get not so nice anymore. They just got painted over. We wanted this to be, and Connie and me and the other people, we won't be on the Arts Council. Who knows how long the Arts Council will exist, but we would like this project to be something that lasts. Like, and that's why it's the town's project. You know, what we're trying to say is that we don't want it to just last for 15 years or something and then, oh, those are done and over. That's why if there was sort of a budget for maintaining and continuing this, it could keep going and not just be done when the murals are worn out.
Do you know what your like upkeep budget would be? Pretend we painted 10 of them and that cost is all covered. What does it cost to maintain yearly moving forward?
We haven't,
No.
no, we don't have those numbers, Sean, but I would say, you know,
Minimum, eh?
yeah, 10% of. the
And would it be, in your guys' vision, is it something that you maintain by restoring, or do you paint a whole new mural every 5 or 10 years where we need another $13,000 to revamp and change the look of it?
Well, can I just say the one mural that's left?
Yeah.
It's actually in quite good shape for as long as it's been there. It's because it's on the north wall and the colors and everything. But, and that's one thing that we were talking about, like we wouldn't want to paint over that and do a new mural.
Because that cost could get pretty astronomical for
And
doing a new
plus
one every 5
there's-
years.
That's the only one left from the Arctic Winter Games, and it's like it's quite nice still, and it could be touched up and made to
And
look
some
new
history,
again.
keep some of the
Yes,
tradition there.
exactly, and that's kind of what we're aiming towards, is something that's, you know, it's sustainable. This is a project that can keep growing and everything, but it's still there. It doesn't have to change every 10 years. It can just keep going.
Okay, and Councillor Drew, go ahead before I ask all the questions.
It's okay. I was just gonna clarify what the ask is. So right now I hear two asks. I hear one, the first ask is for the cost of the 2 murals this year upfront. Then the second ask would involve the mural reserve or public art reserve as part of an annual budget moving forward. But that would also, from my understanding, involve a policy piece. Because right now, so for the initial 2 murals, obviously the funds would have to be turned over to the Arts Council to make that happen. And then moving forward, there would have to be a policy because like you said, if the Arts Council isn't in existence in 10 years, you want this program to continue. So the policy for the interim would potentially be that we provide so much funding per year for this project to the Arts Council, I guess, as long as it exists. So that's kind of what you're looking for. It's more of a policy with the town for it because it's like in the Stony Plain, they're doing it themselves.
Yeah.
And it's tasked to administration. But
Correct.
in this scenario, we're involving like a third party in order to do the work. So I was just wondering if you had any idea what that looked like.
Yeah, I think very similar to that, Frankie, as far as, you know, I guess we would have to work something out. Do you want us to do all of the legwork and then you just look at, we work out a policy that way? Or do you want to, you know, have us initiate this program, which we are, and then you fund it for the next number of years? I mean, I guess I'm assuming then that you do not have a process in place or a policy in place for anything like this.
Well, we currently wouldn't, and just speaking for myself, but I think every single person in this room, our staff doesn't have the capacity to do the legwork to do this, like
And
at
see,
at
and
the
that's-
moment or in the near future.
And we understand that, you know, and that's why we said, you know, we don't mind. We're coming up and we'll try and scrounge up the volunteers. I mean, we're certainly like every other club short of volunteers, but if we can get some sort of support financially as well as backing for future.
Gary's got a.
Oh, Gary. would you
Just
like
going
to
to
say?
comment around process around murals. Our planning and development department has started looking into it. We haven't brought anything formal forward to council, but obviously, and it sounds like some of the things that they had identified are already being addressed by the Arts Council. So things like obviously getting landowner permission, but some municipalities, some artists don't do that step. And then the actual installation, I mean, there is actually very few requirements that we would need probably as a town. You know, obviously there might be, you know, some disruption while it's being done, if, you know, such as scaffold over a sidewalk, that type of thing, that would have to be addressed, and some sort of approval for the actual mural, just to make sure that it's within community standards. But really beyond that, I don't think there isn't a huge amount on that side of it. In terms of the policy development side, it's something that we could work on, but I don't think we'd want exactly, we don't want to take on ownership of having to maintain it. I do have experience of working in another municipality that had an arts policy, and they had a dedicated budget for it, and it could become quite onerous if it's up to staff to come up with the projects themselves, right? And we're not art experts either, right? So that's the challenge.
Perfect, thanks. How many buildings have you identified? Like, are we looking at 10 or what's the dream here? Like, give me your maximum number of buildings you think you're gonna do this
Actually, there
to.
is no max.
There's no
Wherever
max?
a blank wall.
Just how many blank walls have you identified currently that you'd like to tackle?
Probably got 15 to 20
At least,
15
yeah.
to 20? And that'd be like a 2-a-year plan?
Mhm.
2 a year. Counselor Hughes?
Jeez. There we go. I think this is great. I am definitely in support of this. I've been missing some of the murals that we used to have before and love the one that still currently exists. I feel like you guys have done your homework already, and just kind of knowing what the town of Stony Plain does, I think is a great jumping off point. I also think that this is something that council should consider backing, because this year, as part of our strategic plan, we're doing the downtown revitalization and kind of continuing that to go. Tourism perspective, I think it's a big win. I think it makes us unique. We're trying to bring back, the pride of place in Slave Lake and downtown. So I think this is part of that. And I also think that this year during our budget talks, council spent some money on beautification projects, which detailed, a little more grass cutting and sidewalks and those types of things. But I think that this kind of could fall in that, and depending the results we see from that this year, those type of funds could also be allocated in this regard as well. So just throwing that out there, but I'm in support of the town supporting this project.
Counselor Brando, go ahead.
Either that or a motion to direct administration to bring back a report on further pieces. We obviously, if there's a financial ask that's not in our budget, we need to figure out where that would come from. And and be able to bring that report back for council approval because it's not budgeted.
Okay, we'll look for a motion in a moment on that, but what's your timeline? Like, where would you like us to, I know you,
We would like the money in our pocket.
Yesterday.
Today. Before we leave, we're not leaving until we have money.
like, are
in
you,
our pocket.
pretend council said, we have no money, good luck. What's your next step? Like, are you proceeding with a mural and sponsorship? Like, do you want to get one done? That's your goal this summer?
We'd like to get 2 done.
But
this
like,
summer.
if you could get
Yes.
one, that's a good step.
It is, yeah,
Okay,
The Legion will be the first
first
one.
one.
And,
Because we've
um,
got permission for
yeah.
them
and
already.
are they looking to fund some of that?
We've asked and they're looking, but they're not.
They're really
they're not
strapped.
sure. So, yeah, as soon as we get a yay or nay that we can go ahead with this project, we weren't sure where we were at as far as town council. Then we want to get a call out for artists and get some estimates coming in, so we have an idea. If we're in the ballpark, which we think we are from the other
Yeah.
municipalities, so.
Gary, a while back, I don't even know if you were sitting in that chair. We looked at the mural Sherry spoke about there, touching that up. Do you remember this? Okay, I just was wondering if you recalled what even the budget was to touch up that mural. I thought it was like close to like the 10 grand that they're looking for to do a whole mural.
I don't recall.
You don't recall? Okay, yeah, like, so that's why this number, I don't want to say it seems low, but the number seemed way too high to touch up a mural. So maybe we
I
just,
believe it's because that gentleman that did that is quite a renowned artist, right?
Yeah, Mr. Nipshank.
Yes, just to
Okay.
weigh in a little bit.
and so he was gonna come touch that up himself or
I
something?
think so.
Okay.
I had heard that before.
Okay,
Might be why.
I was just wondering like, if this is enough or too much, like where this number came from was from a series of other artists?
No,
Plain.
from Stony Plain,
That's
saying
what
that that's what they estimate for, or what they put aside for their.
That's what they
murals.
allocate, probably not estimate. It could be more, but that's probably what they're willing to pay out of it.
No,
No,
no, that's got
what-
1% of their budget. Like, they've got a fair bit of money there that they put towards murals. No, that's what they count on for the
Mural.
cost of a mural.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? A motion of some sort? Counselor Brandel?
I will make a motion that we task administration to bring back a report and work with the Arts Council and see where we go from here.
Good enough, Gary? Kind of, that's
Do you have a time frame for that?
not this meeting like you.
Not before you go.
Gary,
home
how
tonight.
quick could we turn that around ballpark so these ladies have an idea?
We would, early as possible would be one of the council meetings in July, or really, there's only 2 council meetings in July. I mean, that's till we have a chance to meet and talk about other issues.
Okay.
That's actually pretty fast.
Yeah, that's
turnaround
really fast
considering
for-
everything else
for-
that we have on the go.
Take that and go. That's good.
Okay,
Okay, a motion on the floor. Call to question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing where this goes. Okay, CAO update. Gary, you are on again.
All right, so I have a few highlights I'll pull out of the update. The update has been circulated for council's information. First one is that the town has entered into an MOU with Community Futures to formalize the beautification loan program. So we're moving forward with that. That's where the any storefront beautification type projects where business owners want to update their facade of their building could apply through Community Futures. And the town covers part of the interest on the loan is the essential part of that. We've also started working around municipal census and met with another municipality who's gone through this quite extensively before, and that report will be coming forward to a future council meeting once we figure out a couple more pieces around that. The other exciting news is that the Visit Slave Lake digital ad campaign was launched, went live on June 1st. So from June 1st till today, there's been over 155,000 views online from the Edmonton area. One good part about that is we get good analytics back. We know that the average viewer is between 18 and 44. That's where the majority of the viewers are in. So that's precisely the demographic that we want to market to. So stay tuned. We'll provide more information as we go with that ad campaign. We have had some technical challenges in trying to just promote that on our own social media channels outside of the ad campaign. So we're still working through that. So our local residents get to see that too, so that they can also be our ambassadors. Insight Solutions has also met with senior leadership team around the new visual identity, and that'll be coming to council next week, or actually the week after on June 27th. And the town had applied for the rural entrepreneurial program through Alberta Labor. That's there's the two streams. There's the rural renewal and the rural entrepreneurial immigration programs. And this is for people that want to move to Canada to start a business. This one's a little different in that they have to have financial ability. There's a few other requirements that the person would have to have. And it's fairly less intensive for the municipality. So we put forward an application and we were approved as of today. So our name is on, Town of Slave Lake is listed on the website with a few other municipalities in Alberta. We will be bringing a report forward on the Alberta Advantage immigration stream. There's actually more requirements of the town for that particular program. I'm going to then jump down to operations. Of course, on the public works side of things, they're working on line painting on Main Street. Toxic Roundup is scheduled for this weekend, and they should be starting their graveling program next week. It looks like the gravel will be delivered next week, so they'll be working on their graveled streets and roads next week. Going to jump down to projects. There's a couple of projects to give quick updates on. Of course, the Sawridge Creek waterline replacement is slowly wrapping up. They're working on some concrete restoration, landscaping, and final asphalt will be coming next week. So that one is slowly drawing to a close. And then downtown revitalization, they're working on curb and gutter pouring and installing electrical conduits that are needed. Those are all the prep work, because then the major surfacing will come fairly quickly afterwards. These are the things that take time. And then the other one that we get a lot of questions about with the Highway 2 paving that's going on, there's a patch area between the Highway 2 area and what is paved on the south side of Main Street. And we have been working with the contractor around that to secure pricing and to be able to do it as part of the Highway 2 paving and cover that under our patching budget. And yes, we are working on to make it continuous so that there won't be a break and then another piece that needs to be patched in future. That work has started, and we ran into a bit of a challenge with needing to repair some of the catch basins that are in there, but that work has started, ongoing, and with the rain, it probably won't be finished off until next week or so, but that is definitely in the works. Going to jump down to community services. Under enforcement services, as of this afternoon, I have a little bit of a correction here. The peace officers handled 59 files or calls for service in May. I know it says 104 in your report, and 37 tickets were issued in the month of May. I know it says 43. That was just a little bit of a correction. Year to date, our peace officers are about the same workload, close to where they were at last year. So knowing that last year was one of the highest years they've ever had, so they're still on that same course. Peace officers held a bike rodeo working with our other community services departments. And of course, we are losing a community peace officer for other employment. Jumping in through community services, there's lots of activities happening. One of the things that happens in the pool environment is that the school groups get very active and bringing lots of school groups over for fun swims. And the calendar is getting really booked up with that. One of the other challenges the pool is having is that they'll be moving away from Red Cross swimming lessons. This is a Red Cross decision, not a Town of Slave Lake decision, and Red Cross is moving away from swimming lessons. So starting in the fall, we'll be switching our curriculum over to the Life Saving Society curriculum. Not a major shift in terms of teaching technique and those type of things, but the curriculum is just different. It just looks different. And that's a decision that's not ours to make. It's been something that's been coming from Red Cross. In the facilities in Parkside and Arena 1, we have booked a little bit of a downtime to switch over to the real ice system. So that's the cold water ice generation. It requires either removal of the ice or we scrape it down and build it back up and then allowing some time for it to bond and take. And that was the decision we made, is that, well, we really would be removing it for such a short period of time. The cost to do that, it's just as, it's cost efficient to leave the ice in and scrape it down, build it up and to get it ready to go again. And then of course, Parks is in full swing with our flowers going out and flower baskets up. And then the good news is Barton Park has been essentially completed. There's some minor landscaping that needs to be done, but once the crews were able to get on site, they had that job done very fast because we were just mostly waiting for the frost to come out of the ground and for spring to be here for it to go ahead. We also are working with our green space contractors. We know that it's a heavy growing season right now. The town has received complaints and we're working with the contractor to get those complaints resolved. So if you've heard of anything, we are aware of a number of places where there's been some challenges and we're continuing to try to work with our contractor to do the mowing that they're contracted to provide. Just gonna jump down. We're still working on our summer programming. Summer Splash will be starting on July 4th. Canada Day plans are well underway. And the Visitor Information Center is going to be transitioned over to 7 days a week because we've now hired a second person to be able to help pick up some of that load. So be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions, Councillor Brandel.
I have a couple questions, Gary. I just want to say thank you for the line painting this early in the season. It's very refreshing to see it in June instead of October. So tell the guys well done. You mentioned planning and development is working on Fournier Place stuff. Do you know when that's coming for a report to us, this table?
I don't have a definite date, but we're trying to bring it sooner than later. So yeah, it would be, coming this summer, July or August is what Joanna was just telling me is very similar to what they're working towards, bringing it as soon as possible, considering all the other things that are
Okay,
going on.
sounds good. And your comment about the heavy grow season and green space contractors, is this a heavier grow season than other years?
No, typically around
I mean-
June is when we do get there is significantly more growth in that June timeframe than others, but and it's also when you notice the dandelions become more noticeable because they seem to spring up higher than the grass. But it is just something that we've received complaints about. I just wanted council to know that we're working with our contractor to try to get those complaints resolved.
Okay, yeah, keep on them, please. And then one more question, is Summer Splash still have availability?
I'd have to refer that to our acting director of community services.
There is, okay.
Perfect. Councillor Adams, should have known.
Just go with it, eh? Just one question here for you you were saying we've entered into the memorandum of understanding with Community Futures on the beautification program, with those loans being under $20,000 in order to beautify the frontage. Has the town addressed at all the deposits that are required that are amount between $4,000 and $10,000 to do these types of things? Are we going to try and look at offsetting that, or has it been addressed?
That is something that we're still in conversation with Community Futures about. That's really a planning and development policy that was required for those deposits. And we just need, there needs to be some sort of assurance around getting the work completed, but that's still in conversation with Community Futures.
But we are looking at that. And when do you think we'd be able to have that? Because that does, I imagine, would hold up the program entirely.
Yeah, no, exactly. We're working on that. I can't give an exact timeline, but we are working on it.
Councillor Hughes.
Sorry, Gary, I didn't hear your last comment about the Vic when you were saying you're transitioning to being open 7 days a week. And you have two people there now or just?
We have two people there now.
Okay, so you had one and now you have two.
Yeah.
Great. So 7 days a week. And what are the hours? Okay. Oh, are you? Okay, great. Then I'll wait for that. Then I'll actually wait for my next question for your verbal update too, since it's a follow-up. Thank you anyways.
Yep.
Nothing from you? Okay. Gary, that bike rodeo, it sounded like everyone that went was super excited and was a huge success. Do you know if the schools were contacted to get involved or send some more people? They were?
Thought they were.
Okay, cool. 32 seemed like a low number, but maybe. Really? Oh, so they might have already got this. Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? None? Gary, management task list?
Not too many highlights on this. There's been a number of items that, of course, that have been completed. I know it's a minor point, but item number 41821 is actually a duplicate of something that's later on the list. So we will get that cleaned up. I think if there's unless there's any questions,
Anyone have anything jump out to them? Oh, Counselor Adams.
I was just looking, we have marked as completed on the High Prairie School Division bus exit. Are we completed on that or we just have an interim test on moving the signs?
So it
And
was
is that
my
completed?
understanding that the signs that were agreed upon between High Prairie School District and the town have all been installed. And our peace officers have been informed around the enforcement side of it. And at this point in time, High Prairie School District, their administration has expressed that that's.
Try that for
that's
a
what
while
they
and see what
want,
happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a plan to follow up with that at some point to determine whether or not it is sufficient? Or we just leave it alone?
They could, down the, it would be, sometime into the next school year before that
I'd
happens.
be thinking by the end.
We're almost at
next
the end
year.
of the school year.
No,
right?
end
So,
of next
yeah,
year,
if
I'd be
we- Yeah,
thinking.
at some point in the future, we can certainly try to do that.
Perfect. Nobody else? Let's jump into committee minutes. First up, intermunicipal committee.
Excuse me, just for a second.
Oh, yeah,
Can
sorry.
we, get a motion to accept the
Oh,
management? task list as
absolutely.
amended?
Sorry, jumped the gun. Counselor Hughes makes that motion. Call to question those in favor. That is carried. Thank you, Gary. Go ahead, Counselor Drew. Ward, Counselor Ward.
We'll work on the last name change. So intermunicipal committee, we met on Monday, which was really good. We haven't had a meeting in a while. So what we're doing right now is we're reviewing the fire services agreement and the joint use agreement that are up for expiry at the end of the year. So we met with obviously the MD Council, their representatives, and we have a meeting scheduled in a few months at which we'll continue the debates on that. We also discussed having joint advocacy between the two councils moving forward so that if there were some items that we felt like we could advocate together, that we could use the intermunicipal community moving forward to make that happen. That's it.
Thank you. Watershed, Counselor Adams.
I was out sick on that one, but overall, the big news is the AGM is on the 23rd. That's dinner and the actual AGM out in Canuso where it's normally held. That's all I got.
Perfect. Thank you. Counselor Giroux, Chamber of Commerce, Ward, sorry.
Confuse everybody with the names. So for the Chamber of Commerce, very exciting news. We have hired a new director, our executive director, Holly McPherson. She started last week. So we're really excited to welcome her to the team and look forward to the value she brings to our organization moving forward. In addition, we are recruiting we have 3 vacancies on our board. So we're looking for members for our board. You look really confused.
No,
Okay.
continue on.
Sorry. I just looked over, you look really confused.
That's just like, that's my look.
Okay, that's fair. That works for me. So we have 3 vacancies on our board. So we are recruiting business owners and management to join our board. So we all have large networks here, especially those on council. So if you know of anyone that is looking to join a nonprofit, the Slave Lake District and Chamber of Commerce could be the right fit for you. That's my spiel. We're also gearing up for Riverboat Days. This year is a little bit of a change and we're trying to get it out to everybody. But there is the Riverboat Days Carnival that is still coming to town, but that is the large event for that weekend. Last year, we had a ton of success combining with tourism and other groups in town for the all-in weekend. So this year, due to staffing and the success of last year's, we're also doing that again at the end of August. So I'll save a lot of that for the tourism update, but the Chamber of Commerce will be participating in the all-in weekend with the Children's Festival and the parade.
And
So
to be clear, there's not a block party coming from the chamber, right? There is no,
Riverboat Days weekend, there is not.
like, just a lot of people are
Yeah, on the
messaging about
Riverboat
that.
Days weekend, the only thing right now, so your July 8th to 10th is the carnival that is coming to town. And wristbands are for sale at West Coast Amusements website. So that will be coming through social media this week. So when we're taking a look at, like I said, with staffing, we weren't able to pull off our typical Riverboat Days events this year. And so we decided that the all-in weekend made the most sense for collaboration for the community. That being said, West Coast Amusement is really excited to finally be able to come back to our community after a 2-year hiatus, and they promised some new and exciting rides, so we're looking forward to that. Again, there is the golf tournament on June 24th. It's 9 holes, not 18, and we are looking for more registrations by this Friday in order to make that a go. We also have planning for our small business week that's going to start October 16th. And then we began planning for our trade show, which will be the first weekend in May next year. Any questions?
Questions, comments, Counselor Hughes?
I just wanted to mention that I believe there are a few other kind of spin-off things happening on that same weekend of July 9th, just other community groups. I do know the Slave Lake Curling Club was talking about doing a beer fest event and other things too. So just so the community is aware, I think there'll be a few
And
other
the-
things going on
and
as well.
The Chamber of Commerce would be happy to, I know I'd reached out to the curling club before. We just haven't heard anything back. But again, everyone's short on volunteers and time.
Yeah.
So if there are other events that are happening that weekend, we're happy to make them a part of the Riverboat Days weekend and promote them on the social media channels, but we just need to be made aware.
Okay, and then just one other thing, when you have a career fair ready to go, please continue to share that information. I know a lot of students at Northern Lakes College have been looking for one, wanting one very badly. So let's make sure that we connect and
Yeah,
get
at
the
our board
message
meeting
out.
today, we talked about the fact that our trade show is booked. We do have the space booked for the first weekend in May. We were approached by a community member that was also looking for an oil and gas show that they wanted to set up. And then there was obviously the type of career fair.
Yeah,
So we were in talks today, very preliminary, about how we could make these all happen together and maybe get some more buy-in, especially with like an oil and gas show in our community as well.
Mhm.
So we are confirming our bookings for that, and then we are reaching out to the interested party who messaged us. And they just wanted to know where to start. So if they run with it on their own, or if they want to combine, that'll be a potential there. So
Okay.
with our new executive director just starting, we're gonna put her to start contacting that. And I know it's a long time away. It seems like a long time, but these things come up pretty quick.
When were they looking to do an oil and gas show?
They weren't sure when they wanted to do it. They just had asked, they were looking for support in how to do it.
Thought it'd be a good idea, and
Yeah.
where do we start? Cool.
So that's exciting. So we'll see where that goes, and we might be able to bring that as part of the trade show. I'm not sure what that'll look like yet.
Nice. Anyone else? Ansa, I have no update. Housing Authority.
Oh boy, that's me too. Hold on. All right, so we had a strategic planning meeting in May. The province has had a major shift in philosophy lately with affordable housing, which can be seen with the affordable housing project going to the private sector as opposed to staying within the management of the housing authority. The province also wants to look at our municipality leading our community needs assessment, whereas before the needs assessment was conducted through the housing authority and funded through the housing authority. So there appears to be a shift provincially in the philosophy regarding that. Our committee feels like it should be left with the municipality. So during our strat planning meeting, there wasn't actually a ton of planning that could be done because we're waiting for the province to kind of settle in a path so that we are able to respond. But there is some advocacy pieces that we can talk about moving it AMA moving forward. But we would like to see is the needs assessment being left internally and then having support, communication and cooperation with the municipality as opposed to offloading the needs assessment to the municipality. The other thing that came out of that is that it appears the province would like to get out of deficit funding for social housing and possibly move to a mixed market model. So there's the potential in 3 to 5 years that this could lead to a reduction in our social housing availability. This is long-term, but from all indications of where things are going, again, it's speculation, but it is likely. And then the other thing that came out of that is now boards are required to have a specific set of competencies. So I think we're gonna, as we're always struggling for board volunteers, I think you're gonna see housing authorities across the province continue to struggle. Luckily, our Lesser Slave Lake Regional Housing Authority has the majority of competencies met within our existing board members, so we're already fairly diverse. But I think you're gonna see some struggles there moving forward because you have to have it rounded out with, it's quite an extensive list. And that's my housing authority update.
Questions, comments? Tourism. Counselor,
You missed health.
oh, I skipped health.
That's me.
You're up again. I was trying to give you a break. We were gonna come back to you so you could catch your breath.
That's okay. I talk a lot, so this shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Hold on. I gotta get back to health notes. I have them here. So when we're looking at health, so we are, the Tri-Council Health Committee was successful in our application for a $3,000 RPAP grant. The RPAP is for retention and attraction of healthcare professionals in our community. So what this is supposed to do is examples include like welcome baskets for students or new practitioners, whatever our committee decides to do with that. So since we now know we've received the funds to be spent over the next 3 years, we're going to make a plan in the upcoming meeting on what we would like to do. So basically it's anything for retention and attraction of our healthcare professionals and not just doctors and nurse practitioners, but also the supporting staff. So as far as our vacancy goes, we are losing one of our nurse practitioners, so we will be down to 1 of 5 spots filled. So you are going to see what they call our TNA time, so our time to access a nurse practitioner increase as we are down to 1. The most significant part of this is your AHS funding model. When we're looking at the AHS funding model, it is less attractive to be a nurse practitioner in Alberta than it is in other communities, especially regarding pay. So there is a look at nurse practitioners, how they're funded. That's supposed to be coming up for review shortly. But in the interim, we've had positions available for the last year with 0 applications.
Sorry, so we have lower salaries in Alberta for nurse practitioners?
Yes, so the one that is moving, that accepted a position in BC is moving because of a couple of personal reasons, but salary is one of the, they will make more moving there.
Okay.
So that's an AHS problem when we're looking at advocacy. So we've seen some issues regarding on social media about the phone lines ringing busy. So regarding AHS, the facility only has 20 available lines. If the lines are busy, you cannot get through. So that is just a part of the technology that we would need to advocate for through AHS. So it is not the clinic purposely not answering things. And also they wanted to note that the front desk staff, the staff that you see when you go to the clinic, when you walk in, those aren't the ones that answer the phones. Receptionists are actually behind the desk answering the phones. So that's different than the intake. So there was just some commentary about it. So let's be nice to all our clinic staff. They're trying their best and they're dealing with some antiquated telephone technology. Last month, we had 4,339 visits. So we had 138 new patients. We had a no-show rate of 5.5%, so 238 no-shows. We had 515 walk-ins, which is obviously increasing. Significant number of phone and pharmacy consults, almost 1,000. And so our patient panel numbers, so that's the panel numbers that we're responsible for in our region, is 12,703. So our population in Slave Lake is approximately 7,000. So that just indicates how many of the outside communities are accessing healthcare services in our community. Our time to book with a doctor is approximately 17 days, and our nurse practitioner is 23 days and increasing, obviously due to the vacancies. And I think that's about it.
Counselor Hughes.
Just to satisfy my own curiosity, what is the average wait time in most rural communities? Do you know?
This.
17 days?
Yeah, it's pretty standard. We did ask that question at the last meeting and they didn't have an exact number to give us, but it is actually really comparable, especially across rural communities. So as we all know, physician and nurse practitioner, which are the direct vacancies that affect this, that increases these times. The other thing is, in like the rest of us, doctors like to go on vacation in the summer as well. So when we came out of COVID where there were a bunch of breaks with doctors having to be home because of illnesses or their family illnesses. And then you factor in the fact that now it's summer and we have some vacations, you'll see these times. The nurse practitioner time is going to increase though, but there's vacancies all across the province and generally the urban ones are filled first. So it is really unfortunate. And then they ask, we do actually, one more exciting thing is that we actually have a physician visit on Friday. So we'll be taking a physician through a tour of our community. So this is a potential to fill our doctor vacancy. From there, we would have a full complement of doctors, but it's our nurse practitioner side that we could really use some help.
Okay. Counselor Hughes, tourism.
All right, tourism update. So we have completed 3 of our familiarization tours this spring. One was an open one just for any businesses to sign up their employees for. So we held that a couple weeks ago. And then we actually ended up doing 2 private tours for the lovely team at Tim Hortons. They kind of used it as a team building experience, had a bunch of their staff come out on the tour. So we did those the last 2 Sundays. And the feedback was really wonderful. Everyone had a great time. And even on our first one, there were people that have lived in the area for a while and have learned some new things about what we have to offer. So they definitely achieved what they wanted them to, and we hope to continue to kind of grow that in the coming years and spread the word about that. We are looking to hire an executive director for tourism as well, and the job is still open for a few more days. This is a part-time position with flexible hours, so you can check our Facebook page or our Indeed listing for more information on that. We have distributed some promotional material that we had printed called the top 10 things to do in the Slave Lake region. We have been distributing these to the local campgrounds and local businesses. If you haven't received any and you would like some, please reach out to us on our Facebook page so that we can drop some off to you. And last but not least, All in Summer is back and we are very excited. So this event will be taking place on August 26th, 27th weekend. We're still coordinating some further details. There's a lot of different groups in place. So we're collaborating with Stage North, the Chamber of Commerce, Arts Council, etc. So it's quite a big collaboration. So we're still finalizing a few of the minor details here before we release our full schedule of details to the public. But I am able to say that we have booked a band for the Legacy Center, and it is Street Heart. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll work.
And so the All in Summer event also is going to couple the block party, parade, fireworks, kids festival, just to name a few. And then we'll have more details, like I said, when we release the schedule. And that is kind of the summary for tourism at the moment.
Questions? Back to you, Counselor Ward, for library. I believe you're up. Oh, Kim.
Oh,
no, you get
that's
2 in a
me
row.
too. Okay. Library. Okay, so library's been operating business as usual. We're open till 8 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Friday, and 10 to 3 on Sundays. So just wanting to remind the community, we're kind of back up to our extended hours. There's lots of programming being offered. Our summer reading club booklets are now available as well. There's also a plant library as a part of a section in the library now. So if you're looking for a plant, you can come in there and stop by and grab one to take home, which is very cool. Adopt one for the summer. They're also having a summer book sale right now as well. They're going to be holding a summer kickoff party on Saturday, June 25th at 12 o'clock at Schurter Park. And there'll be a magic show, face painting, free barbecue, and some other extras as well. They're looking at applying for some grants from the Peace Library System to provide some Indigenous programming at the library as well. So that's new and exciting. The Slave Lake Legacy Scholarships have gone out. So some recipients have been chosen by the board and they will be presented with their scholarships at the upcoming graduation. And the Slave Lake Library has had over 500 participants in May for a variety of our programs that we've offered online and in person.
Counselor Adams?
Nope.
Oh, you turned your mic on. I thought you go. Naming advisory have not met. Community futures.
For Community Futures, again, missed the last meeting due to sickness, but the review of it is we are in the middle of reviewing the executive director, doing that for the annual report. Also trying to recruit more on the directors. I'll voice the same thing that Frankie did. If you need, or if you want, please be part of an exciting group. The meetings are great. You find out a lot of discussion as far as the community goes and business growth within the community. They are still looking for more directors to sit on that board. The other part that was mainly discussed, we kind of covered already, which had to do with the memorandum of understanding for the beautification loan and what has gone through there as far as the downtown core being identified and actually coming up to that agreement with the town, which they're very thankful for. Just a few more things to tweak out as we discussed earlier. And that's about it.
Questions? CEC?
Okay, the CEC, so we've officially ended our year. We will resume our meetings back in September. But we did end the year with a fun initiative for a lot of the students, and we're hosting a wellness lunch on behalf of the CEC. So students can participate in a workout class at East Shore Athletics, and then it's followed by a healthy meal from local businesses. We finalized our details for our award categories for the year and have opened them up to the Northern Lakes College students to apply for. The NLC convocation was held at the MRC on June 3rd. I was actually able to attend on behalf of the town of Slave Lake. And it was a very beautiful grad. I had never been before, and it was very well done. And just the atmosphere in there was really exciting. A lot of enthusiastic people ready to get their diploma, and it was great to see. So trades classes have been picking up, and they expect that that will continue into September. The life skills programming will be continuing throughout the year. Academic upgrading, there have been changes to some of the learner income supports as well that was announced earlier this spring. Their Stepping Forward program is seeking enrollments for the September 2022 year. And we are also currently looking to recruit new board members. So to echo Councillor Ward's sentiment, we need lovely new board members if you know of anyone. We're actually looking to try to get a few just background from different types of industry as well to kind of help round out our board on the CEC. And now we are breaking for the summer. So that is your update.
Homeless Coalition.
Yeah, so we're doing lots of boring administration stuff like bylaws and items to finish insurance and the grant reporting. Last meeting, we divided all our board members into subcommittees because a lot of us are doing, a lot of the board members are doing a lot of the administration stuff and kind of getting a little overwhelming. So we kind of divvied up the pie a little bit. Working on hiring an executive director as well. Seems to be the theme tonight. Working on another location for the MAP program as winter will be upon us. So we're working hard at that. We're also looking at other community organization and people as well to join the board, but as well as the organization because obviously we're stronger together. So. And we've suspended the public meetings for now, just to get a handle on until we hire the executive director. So we're hoping to resume those later in the year.
Questions? Children's resource. Oh, did you have a question?
Nope.
Oh, Children's Resource Center. You turn your mic on and you confuse me.
I'm getting ready. I'm ahead of the game here. What?
Very talented.
So the Children's Resource Council, the biggest thing coming out of that is the CFO is now the acting executive director. They are going through the process again of hiring a new executive director after the other one resigned. Other than that, the meetings that are in place have only surrounded that for now, and it's not much else to tell.
Thank you. MPC.
You guys are gonna get tired of me every time these updates. Okay, so we've actually had two meetings for MPC. On our May 2nd meeting, there was a development permit application for a type B home-based business for a bed and breakfast. This had to be defeated because it was outside of the powers of the MPC because the application, there was already approved lodging and rental in the basement, so it didn't meet the required space requirements. We approved a land use bylaw amendment to restrict an R1 to an R3. We also approved an application for a variance to the on-site parking and placement of a shed for Lakeview Evangelical Church. There was defeated an application for a proposed attached dwelling and a variance to the parcel coverage. The MPC can grant a variance to the parcel coverage requirements to a maximum of 5%, and the variance was requested to 5.4%. As such, this is likely going to go to SDAB if decided by the developer. We also approved an application from Corey Stab to rezone 320 3rd Ave Northwest from R1 standard detached residential to R2 medium residential to facilitate the development of a duplex. We also provided the MD 124 with a couple reports regarding that there's no concerns for a park model RV to be on one of their properties, one of the properties in the MD that's near the town, as well as the referral for a detached dwelling and shop. So there's been a few applications to go through each time, but nothing too crazy.
Counselor Adams.
Why didn't you ask for me before? Just one question, I kind of missed it. You were saying there you approved a rezoning from an R1 to an R3?
We defeated, so there was two meetings in here. The first one, we had approved the R1 to the R3, but then that was defeated by council. And then on the second one,
Gotcha.
we have approved the R1 to the R2, which should come back to council as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Nope. SDAB, the mayor is not here. There's no meeting. Waste. They have not met. Airport, no real earth shattering news from airport. We are on track to exceed our revenue budget this year, and fire season hasn't even hit yet. We're at 85%, so that's good news. Any questions? Nothing. Move on to Wildfire Legacy Corp. We'll skip that. Protective Services has not met. Emerging Management Advisory Group has not met. And we'll skip the next two with Tyler not here. Reports and should we get a motion to accept all that as information? Counselor Ward makes that motion. Call to question those in favor. That is carried. Jill, you are up, my friend.
Okay, good evening. So tonight I'm here to talk about our service levels for our sports fields. Through the town of Slave Lake, we manage a number of sports fields for our community. So we manage the soccer fields at Rolla Missioner through our joint use agreement. So through that, minor soccer currently is our only user for Rolla Missioner. They will book through us and we collect the revenue off of the fields, but in turn look after the mowing and line painting for minor soccer when they have their seasons. And then as well for sports fields, we also look after the Charity and Sinclair sports fields. So Sinclair is made up of the minor ball sports fields. So we have fields 1 through 3 that have turfus infields, and then fields 4 through 7 are primarily used for T-ball, so our grass fields. And then we also maintain Charity, which is primarily used for slow pitch and hardball. We don't have any hardball happening this year, but we do have the hardball fields. So currently all those fields have grass infields. We have had a request for minor baseball in preparation for further seasons to convert the hardball diamond to a turfus infield, as is at Sinclair. So we have given them the go ahead to do that with their own funds for the 2023 season. When we've looked at how that's played out at Sinclair, there hasn't been an increase for maintenance there. So if they're providing the funds, we're good with them to convert that. We do have a new green space contract this year with Morag Groups, so that is going well. We are starting to look at the ball field facilities as a facility as a whole. So versus, just focusing on the field. So we're trying to do a good job of maintenance throughout the fields because weeds come in from the other grass that's there. So we're trying to do a better job of keeping that as a good facility as a whole, not just focusing on the diamonds. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So service levels with the new contract have increased. As identified in the report, we've lowered the height that we cut grass at. So when they're being utilized. So this generally means, so I think one of the things that we often get back from our user groups is they want to know what days exactly we're mowing. And we don't like to commit to days because every season is different. So we generally, that means 1 to 2 times per week. But if we have a lot of growth, then we will perhaps do it more. Or if it's super hot out and the grass isn't growing, then we're not cutting it at all. We have taken out bagging unless required due to the low cut heights. Bagging isn't required. And then so when fields are not in use, so like this year, as mentioned, we don't have anything booked so far on hardball or the multi-use diamond. We do maintain a higher height of grass. So we're trying to work. I think the big thing focus this year is moving towards an as needed thing. So putting the money into where we're utilizing things. We're not going to maintain hardball to the same level as we're maintaining the fields that are played on all the time. We want to do it as an as needed level. We're also working on, as well as part of the contract, we also look at dragging, mound maintenance, herbicide application, and dugout maintenance. They're part of the regular contract. And then when we put the contract out, we also asked our contractors to put in for some additional maintenance items. And then if our budget allows it, each year we'll do those additional items. So this year, when the proposals came in and we looked at our budget, we have been able to go ahead with fertilizing, rolling, dethatching, aerating, and top dressing. So those are all kind of value added things. Those aren't necessarily a guarantee every year and not necessarily required every year. If we're staying on top of things, then there might be things that are needed more than some of those things. So we're trying to, again, flex where we need the service versus committing to a service every year that might not be needed. And not asking for this, but as fields are not irrigated, we do sometimes struggle with maintaining grass and staying on top of weeds. When it is warm out, the grass dies out and the weeds take over, and then that creates a kind of perpetual challenge. We do also have a new contractor for porta potties. Prax has got out of the porta potty business, so they've sold everything to Falcon. I guess their truck crashed and that was their out to get out. So we're just kind of trying to, we've had a transition with Falcon, so working with them to create some service agreements that fit in with our budget. So that's been a little bit of a adjustment as well. And then our parks crew still does go over and assist with garbage, changing the garbage and garbage pickup. So something that was asked from us in the past was to implement a user agreement, so we have created and implemented that with our 2 years user groups this year, sorry. So that mirrors what we do at the MRC for our ICE users. So it lays out our service levels and our expectations for our user groups. We are in contact with our user groups to try and ensure we have fields booked for what is being used. So for example, tonight, I quickly checked my emails before I came in, and Slow Pitch had let me know that they've canceled all their games for tonight and tomorrow night because of the weather. So that means that they will be doing makeup games. this is still challenging with makeup games due to the weather. So, and scheduling changes that come up from overseeing organizations. So this is no different than our arena users that have play in different leagues and they have different things come up, or, you know, they are supposed to play somewhere else and something comes up and they're trying to schedule makeup games wherever they can fit them. So, yeah, and so I guess one of the things though that I always struggle with fields is that at the MRC, you know, we give the permission to user groups to go out, whereas fields, you can just go play on them. We do have some, as mentioned in the report, that are locked, but all the coaches have the codes for the locks. So there's a little bit less control over it. So sometimes that's challenging because that's where we get the feedback. And I have had a big conversation with Minor Ball about this. You know, that's where we often get that feedback that our fields aren't maintained. If we don't know that you're playing on it, it's hard to maintain it. We have come to an agreement with them that they're working their hardest to ensure that their fields are booked so that we can schedule maintenance. And then, but they also have the understanding that if they're to email me at 3 o'clock, chances are it's probably not going to get mowed and foul lines might not get painted. So we have an understanding of that. I think really had a lot on my plate this year, but I will say that doing both positions with community relations and parks and facilities has really given me an insight to things. So we're both working towards the common goal. It's just we're trying to get there in a different manner. On my side, I really want to see things scheduled. I want to monitor usage. I want to know when people are playing on them so that we can do the best that we can. And on the flip side, they want to see the best they can and they want to get their kids out and they want to have them playing. So it's just, we're trying to get to the same place, but we're going about it in different directions sometimes. So I think we have a really good relationship with them. So we sometimes are like, can tell each other that we're frustrated and then work towards a solution. So I think that's been a really good thing this year that we've tried to accomplish. So just seeing what else here. Yeah, and then on the slow pitch side, they have committed to doing their makeup games on specific days that they know that the fields aren't, that they're more open and maintenance isn't getting done. If they want to play outside of those days, then they give us as much notice as they can. So usage from past years is noted in the report. Last year, as everyone knows, was an odd year. We didn't get started because of restrictions until later in the season. So likely kind of, for report I'm bringing next week, I'm really finding that to get proper stats on things, we're having to go back to like 2018, 2017 for things. So it's good to monitor our usage, but I wouldn't say that what we've seen in the report or the past few years is typical. So yeah, and I think just I kind of started doing sports fields a few years ago, and from my point of view, every year we're improving, and each year we have a better understanding of what's needed from each side and how to coordinate. And so I think we're working on that. Well, there's no, at this point, everyone's happy with the service levels. I think there is some flexibility within our budget. So if we just keep working on that and doing what's needed, then we're on a good path.
Perfect. I want to say thank you because these user groups, they often don't reach out when things are going well. They often only reach out to complain, and they reached out and we're really happy with the agreement, the service levels and everything. So thank you to administration for making our users happy because that goes a long way. Any questions or comments? Councillor Adams? Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. And Jillian, you're up again, I believe.
So yeah, I was just going to give a verbal update of where we're at for the VIC. So we have opened the VIC for the 2022 summer season. We opened to the public on May 20th. So we currently have 1 full-time staff and have 1 part-time staff. So, but as luck goes, they did their orientation virtually yesterday, but they're out sick. So, so we had really good plans to train them this week. We're hoping that they can get out later in the week and we can get going, but we do have a slightly odd schedule in order to get them trained and give people the days that they're entitled to off and everything like that. So our plan is moving forward to have us open. I think we've got a 2-week kind of transition period. So then we will be open 7 days a week. Can't remember the exact date off the top of my head, but if everything goes as planned, not next week, but the following week will be open 7 days a week. We are finding though Sundays, like we're getting 1 or 2 people in. So that's the day that it might seem odd when you're looking at tourism, but that's generally the day that people are traveling home. People are coming in. Thursday, Friday, Saturday are busy days. Sundays really quite quiet because everyone's heading home. That likely could change in July and August, but hopefully at that point in time, we'll have everyone up and going. We are still looking at a third position that would be kind of like a casual, very part-time position just to help out with things. When you only have 2 staff, it still is hard to extend over that 7-day period, especially being summer. Most people are good, but we do have things that come up, and we're still struggling in the world where people are out sick quite often. So just still looking for that. I just kind of wanted to, I know there's always comments out in the community, so just wanted to say that at the beginning of the season, we only had 3 qualified applicants. We offered positions to all 3 of them. 1 wasn't available the whole summer, it turned out. 1 turned us down, so then the 1 was currently out there. We went through another set of interviews, offered 2 positions. 1 accepted, 1 turned us down, and then so we're on our 3rd one. So it's not, and we are looking, so, and again, we're looking for people that are available during the day and on weekends. So those high school students that perhaps are applying aren't going to be a good fit for us because we need someone that's available during the day. So yeah, and then our plan is to stay open until the Labor Day weekend, and then we close for the season. Our hours when we're open full time are Monday to Saturday, 10 to 5, and Sunday, 12 to 4. That's based on past usage. So we've used to be open a little bit longer, but based on what we saw people coming in, those are the peak times. What else did I have here? So we're seeing people utilizing the VIC. Numbers vary per day, but the majority of people visiting are from Alberta, primarily the Edmonton area. So hopefully our marketing is working. We have already though had some visitors come from Germany, and we've had someone send us a letter from France with looking for some information that's planning to visit this summer. So we'll send them some stuff back there. So when the visitors come into the VIC, we engage them with a few questions, including where they're from and the purpose of their visit. The majority of people coming to the region have identified that they're camping in the region. Other reasons that they are coming into the area is that we have people that are just passing through, they're stopping. I know the summer 2019, I guess was the last summer that I was we were open in 2020 as well, but 2019, we actually had a surprising number to me. Maybe this isn't surprising to some people, but surprising number of people that use us as a stop before they head up to the Northwest Territories in the Yukon. So lots of people do that. And then I know in that year, lots of people liked the girls so much that we had comments that they would come back down. So that was always a nice thing. People are ATVing, bird watching was another big one, visiting friends and family, working in the area. And then we had one person that was attending the Songbird Festival. So requests for service from the VIC staff are mostly looking for maps and looking for directions to the beach, lake, and provincial park. We're seeing a lot of people also stopping by to utilize the picnic tables and the Wi-Fi, but they don't actually come in the building. So that is a service that I know when we travel, we often use we know that there's going to be a picnic table at the VIC, so that's where we stop at them. One major request we're having at the VIC though is updated brochures to hand out to visitors for those people that are looking for information. And then we also get lots of VICs in other communities asking for that. We're down to like 200 brochures. And they're very out of date. So that's a huge project that someone needs to take on probably for future years. So we just something to coordinate. Yeah, we still do have a number of people that look for print copies of things. That family from France, I was going to write them a letter because the provincial parks have moved away from doing actual handout brochures, but that's something that family is specifically looking for. So I was just going to write them a letter with referring them to websites, but there are people that still look for those kind of things. And just kind of a note around the province and Travel Alberta used to offer training for VICs that went over some good things that don't seem like, maybe if you're not working there, not a skill that you would necessarily think of, but they went through like how to guide people directions for maps because, learning those. I know this because, I don't know, maybe I'm dating myself, but we used to plan our family vacations on maps, but there's still those people that use maps. So knowing what the major routes are, highlighting those instead of sending them down a secondary highway that might not have the services that they're looking for and might not have the best directional signage. So some of those kind of things, there's trade shows that allowed everyone to see some of those major attractions in the province because they had booths set up. So that's been discontinued. So that's a little bit more challenging when we're looking at some of the training when we're doing things. We do have past materials. So we've been working through that with staff, but yeah. And then we always do an end of summer report. So once we have done that at the end of the season, we'll share it with everyone.
Any questions? Councillor Hughes?
Thank you for the verbal update, Jill. You answered a few of my questions, but not all. One comment you made about the brochures, tourism has been holding their meetings out at the Vic. And so we actually talked about this at our last meeting and we're well aware that there's some outdated copies and that people are asking for them. So it's kind of on our radar, not making a commitment, but just letting you know that our group also is aware of that.
And I think it's one of those things we always leave till in April, we're like, oh, we should do that. And then it's a huge project. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Just to think, put on everyone's.
Good to plan for next season.
Yeah, I was gonna say, put on everyone's radar for next summer.
Yeah. Also, when I was in there, I noticed that you have a business display set up. I was wondering if you wanted to touch on that. Is that something
Yeah,
that
actually, sorry, I forgot to
all
bring up
businesses
that.
are able to
So
participate?
Brenna from Creative Goods approached us, asked if she, so we've, I guess, just take a step back. In other years, we have operated a gift shop. That was not something that we were able to take on this year just based on capacity. But Brenna, I was a little nervous when she approached me because I thought that's what she was going to be asking, but she actually said she'd rather just have a display to drive people downtown and to her business. So she asked about setting up a display. We have a display case that's there from previous years. So she brought all the stuff out, made a sign, and we put it there. I know Colbin was going to reach out to some other businesses to see if they wanted to display things. But if you guys know of anyone in the community that's interested, there is still space out there to display things. So
Okay, so we're able to kind of spread the word and tell people if they want to come
there
on
isn't
out.
like unlimited space, but there's definitely some space there. So I guess it's kind of on a first come, first serve
Okay.
basis.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can display, but we won't sell. So
Okay.
I was just gonna interject, we could look at putting an email out to the Chamber of Commerce membership just to advise them, because that's a quick way to get a hold of,
yeah,
100
Yeah.
businesses, 120
yeah, and I guess they can
businesses.
they can get a hold of me and then I'll coordinate it.
Perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a great idea.
Okay.
Other question, you have an electronic open sign, right?
I don't know if we do.
Like
actually.
how will people know that you're open there? Because I feel like that's one of the questions in town with the hours and everything. Like, how can people find that information?
So we are posting things on our Facebook page. I would encourage the Slave Lake region to share those posts if they haven't already. And then we put an open sign out. The hours are posted on the door, but beyond that, that's, yeah.
Okay.
And Jordan's updated on the website. so.
I'm wondering if anyone from the town or MD or whatever has ever explored having a sign on the highway as well. Like, we don't have a sign saying Vic 2 kilometers this way
Yeah,
kind
we
of thing,
do.
right? Do we?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never noticed it. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess I don't need it because I know where the Vic is. Where's it
I
at?
haven't noticed it either. And it actually came up at our intermunicipal meeting that we didn't have that signage there. Just-
Yeah, it did. Oh, the other way. That was the comment.
So it's missing somewhere. I don't know. I didn't even know there was one because we just know where it is, like you said.
Huh.
But the MD counselors brought up that we're not directing anybody there. So we do have one sign for sure.
There's for sure one when you are coming in from the west. And I thought there was one from the east because that was part of being an accredited, so part
Yeah.
of being part of an accredited VIC, it was to have signage and they
Okay.
worked. So Travel Alberta and the province used to work with transportation to get those up, but it's I'm 99% sure that there's one at both sides. I know for sure there is one when you're coming from Canyon Creek.
Okay. Someone else on tourism had commented that there wasn't one from the east. Is that something we can look into as well? Like, can we double check and possibly see about getting a sign from the west and a sign from the east? So we're covered on all fronts?
Yeah, we can. Again, that's a transportation thing. So
No,
we
I
have
understand,
to-
but I
yeah,
just mean
but-
like, hopefully you or the staff could look into that this
Yeah,
summer, because I
yeah,
know
for
it's a
sure, but
process as
I
well.
am like fairly certain that there is, but I'll double check. But yeah, no.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're utilizing it and advertising it as best we can. So
Gary or Jill, is it crazy if these signs are there, and I know you don't put them up, right? But is it crazy to have our staff or the staff of the Vic have an open and close thing they could flip on it? So when people are driving from Edmonton, they say, oh, it's closed, oh, it's open. Is that a crazy idea? Is there something we could do with that?
We can definitely look into it.
I do know, you see the signs all the time that have the open and closed
Yeah.
thing, but I do also know that transportation also has challenges with that too, so we can try.
Dig into that and see how crazy it is.
Yeah.
Gary's on it. Any other questions? No, motions, Counselor Adams,
Motion to accept the verbal presentation as information.
discussion, call to question those in favor. That is carried. Thank you, Jill. Yeah, let's take a quick 5-minute recess here. Okay, you're on, Kush.
Good evening, members of council. The purpose of this report is to provide recommendation to council regarding the design build contract award for the new splash pad. In April this year, administration presented a strategic plan with some budgetary information and concept drawings for the new splash pad. There was also a feasibility review that was conducted to verify the location of the new splash pad. The review considered upgrading the existing splash pad or installing a new splash pad at Hilda Ibn Park. And the review supported that the location of new splash pad to be located at Hilda Ibn over the old skate pad. Request for proposal for design build of the new splash pad at Hilda Ibn was posted on Alberta Purchasing Connection on May 11th and closed on May 31st. The intent of the issued RFP was to seek proposals from experienced firms to design build the new splash pad, complete with multiple water features and equipments with upset limit of $400,000 excluding GST. A budget amount of $500,000 is allocated for a new spray park through reserves in a 2022 budget package. Upon closing, we received two submissions. One was from PlayQuest Recreation and other was from GLV Travelers Incorporated. PlayQuest Recreation is a full service recreation equipment company with an extensive history in all aspects of park design, construction, and playground installation. They are also one of the exclusive authorized distributor of Vortex aquatic equipment in Alberta and other provinces. Vortex Aquatic Equipment is a leading manufacturer and supplier of water features for recreational aquatic play. Till date, they have completed 6,000 spray park equipment supply and manufacturing. In last 17 years, this particular company, PlayQuest Recreation, have completed more than 90 spray park in Western Canada. They propose to work alongside Vortex to complete the proposed project. GLVT transition from commercial and residential renovations to park construction in 1988. Since then, they specialize as general contractor for park space and have completed 40 spray park. They propose to work alongside PlayQuest and Vortex to complete the project. Emphasis was given on overall design, including number and type of spray features, post-installation service, overall proposed price, past experience with similar project scope, and proposed schedule work plan. Based on our overall evaluation, PlayQuest would offer the best value for our investment. They included variety of water features for various age groups. Both the proponents proposed a built area of 4,000 square feet, but PlayQuest proposed more square feet of spray area and a greater number of spray features compared to GLVT. PlayQuest cost proposal works out to be $129.27 per square feet of spray area, compared to $137.19 per square feet of spray area for GLVT. As GLVT is proposing to work alongside a supplier and a manufacturer, it was noted that they had more markup on every piece of water feature equipment proposed. Both included one full day of operational training to the town staff. However, one extra spring startup was included by GLVT in their proposal. Also, from the warranty side, both included same warranties. They carry 2-year warranty on workmanship, 25 years coverage for stainless steel tubing, 10 years for structural stainless steel and weld workmanship, 5 years for aluminum, brass, and polymer panels, 2 years for plumbing components, and 1 year for electrical components. As PlayQuest is exclusive authorized distributor of Vortex equipment, they tend to carry inventory for common replacement parts on hand and would be able to address any future operational issue in a timely manner. Timeline for installation depends on the availability of material. However, proponents' early estimate suggests a lead time of 10 to 12 weeks to secure the material and expected completion by end of September 2022. And I have also attached the design proposal submitted by both the companies in this report attachment. Resources impact would be, so council allotted $500,000 in this 2022 budget package. Expected costs are to design, build a new spray park would be in the range of $400,000 approx. Water and sewer services connection, $50,000. Contingency, almost 10%, which would be $45,000. So we are anticipating to complete the project within budget. Our recommendation to council is to award design build contract to PlayQuest Recreation for the new spray park.
I have questions. So I was just looking at these design drawings and I was wondering if the anticipated costs included, I see on there, we got a connecting path, we have benches and picnic tables, and all of these renderings show a bunch of mature trees, which obviously aren't going to go in as mature trees. But I was just curious if the anticipated costs include those features.
No, anticipated cost only includes installation of spray pad surface, which would be concrete, and installation of all the equipment on top of concrete.
Okay, so we would still have additional costs for the
Yes.
connecting path to the parking lot, any benches or picnic tables?
Yes.
And if the landscaping features, if we wanted that are in these drawings.
And if I may, the parks capital budget does have some allocation for normal replacement of furniture. And so picnic tables, benches, garbage receptacles, those types of things. And it was our intent to use that funding for this area once the project moves along.
And I have another question. So let's say we go with your recommendation with these Vortex, like this vendor here. What's the process for choosing which version? Because I know we've got a couple here with a bunch of different features. So how does that process work?
So this is just a proposal. They are open to, if you want to make any changes, even they're open to, they have their own color scheme. We can pick any color scheme we want. So they are open to any further discussion.
Okay.
And the prices will be, if they are able, if we don't go beyond what the design is, then the price will remain same. But if we go, beyond, then there will be more cost to it.
Councillor Adams?
You're saying you were going to need 10 to 12 weeks lead time
Yes.
for this. What's the installation estimate of that?
So installation, when they submitted their bid in their proposal, their schedule was they will come in, I believe in August to complete the concrete pad. And in September, they will come to install all the features.
Okay, well, I'm just wondering, does it make sense to have the parts ordered up at the end of the year and then do the install in the start of 2023? If we're starting this thing in September or completing in September, by the time we actually fire it up for the first time, our electrical warranty is almost done.
Yes, it will be, yeah, usually warranties.
Even know.
Yes,
if it
yes.
works.
No, that's fair, and we can have that conversation with them. And I'm not too sure about any cost implications. If we push it back to, install it in next year, we'll have any on this project or not, but yeah, we can have a conversation with them.
Councillor Brandel?
So are they using the existing concrete pad that's there or?
No, because they would have to install new pipes underneath, so they would have to rip apart
Oh,
that skate pad.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't think the existing one was 4,000 square feet, so I was wondering, okay, gotcha.
Any other questions? Councillor Adams?
I'd like to make a motion.
Even better?
Resolve that council directs administration to award design build contract to PlayQuest Recreation for the new spray park.
Motion on the floor. Any discussion? Call to question those in favor. That is carried. Push again onto washrooms.
So again, this report is to provide information to council regarding washroom facility for the proposed splash park. So on that same report presentation that we did in April, council further directed administration to bring back some information on the cost of washroom facility installation at Hilda Ibn Park, along with any operational cost. So after that, we reached out to 3 different companies to request quotes. And to date, we only received one respond, and which was from Rockbox Structure, and they have proposed a washroom unit that can serve as a more permanent sanitary solution or a mobile solution. It's basically a 8 feet wide by 20 feet long shipping container. Comprises of 400 gallon of fresh water supply, 400 gallon of wastewater holding tank. It comes with electric heaters, hot water tank, lighting fixtures, 2 low flush toilets and 2 sinks. And also there is a possibility to connect the proposed facility to a permanent water and sewer services for additional cost of $2,000. So the cost that they provided, if you want to follow with, refer to attachment 1, page number 55 of the agenda package. So the simple one, or the standard shipping container style enclosure would be a cost of $37,500 plus GST. But they also offer exterior wood finishing on one side with additional cost of $4,000. So that will bring the overall cost to $41,500.
Is that 41.5? Then it says here, modify one stall from accessibility.
Accessibility,
So
yes.
the 37.5 doesn't include the accessibility
No,
stall?
no.
Okay.
And then we looked at a couple scenarios to figure out operating cost. Again, these scenarios are based on, so community services will be bringing a future report requesting an additional staff position for 2023 spring summer season to assist with the park. So they are hoping that position can cover this, like whatever the task would be with respect to washroom facility. And basically our scenario 1 was to clean that washroom facility once a day from beginning of May until end of September. And that our estimate is it will cost, the cost to operate would be in the range of $2,700. And then scenario 2 is basically doing twice a day for the same period, and that will be around $54,000. Again, we do not have any funding source determined for this project. So if we are proceeding with this, we would have to bring back a report to amend the capital budget and add this project. And our recommendation to council is to accept this report as information.
Okay, so this can be mobile or a permanent solution.
Yes.
So it's basically fully contained and
Contained.
it can stand alone.
Yes.
So what's the recommendation, to hook it up to plumbing or just leave it as a standalone?
We can do either ways, because we are bringing water services to the spray pad. So if the location of this washroom facility, if we can locate it closer to the spray pad or in vicinity, then it won't be, expensive to hook it up
We do it at the
permanently.
same time.
Yeah. But if we are locating further away from the splash pad, then using it as a self-contained unit would be better.
So then we would have hauling water costs to fill
Yes.
it up. right?
Yes.
Okay.
Counselor Ward.
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, it's more of a discussion piece, but I would like to see it when a report comes back. Because we also have a splash park at CJ Schurter that will continue to operate, from my understanding. I would like to see what the cost, I obviously double for that, but there's shipping and other things. Because washroom facilities there would also be important. It's another splash area. And I know we struggle with some of the porta potty things there. So in my mind, I'd like to see it at both. Or at least what the implications would be resource wise for both.
Well, and I think the beauty or the gimmick with these is they could be moved, right? Like
Yes.
they're not a permanent solution. So if it doesn't work one year, we don't do it again the next year, right? Like that, there's something to play with here, having it like this.
I guess we could also look at a trial with it at the new splash park, and if that goes well, then move into CG. I just know that those would be our two most used parks, and especially with the water feature, I know people like to spend the day there. So I think it would really be good for our residents to look at the washroom facilities of both. I don't know if I'm alone on that, but
Council Hughes,
You are not alone on that. I would like to see the implications as well. I like the idea that it's kind of a little bit mobile, but I also don't want to haul water and incur that cost as well. So what do you recommend as far as the cleaning goes, like in anticipation? Do we go with scenario 1 or scenario 2?
It all depends on, I do not have any experience on that, but Gary can speak to that for sure.
Well, right now, the scenario 1 is more frequent than what the porta potties are clean. I'll just
Okay,
use that as
yeah.
comparison.
Okay.
And so just to comment on a couple of things, if it is brought into CJ, the challenge at Schroeder Park would be, I should say Schroeder Park, not CJ. Schroeder Park is just water and sewer servicing. There's water there, but sewer is the challenge there, which is the reason why we're not doing the new spray park or changes to that spray park. So that's still a logistical problem of some hauling. And the second thing that concerns us, I'll wear my community services hat, is one thing to make sure we're getting the cleaning done, and the other is also the security, making sure most communities lock their washrooms at night and open them during the day. So you just have to have staff that can do that. And it's just the logistics of doing that within our current framework of the people that we have.
Is there not something automated that we could look into, like a locking system that goes at a certain
They do
time or something
exist.
to eliminate the
Yeah,
staffing need
There
at
is,
the end of the day?
it is possible, but just from my experience, someone still needs to make sure that the door is not propped open, or people are trying to defeat that if you want to make sure that they're secure. I mean, we can certainly explore the automation of that.
I know there, I've seen at other communities,
There's just challenges with those. I have some experience with that, so.
I know they've done it with like a security camera and like, so you can see the status of that, but it would be nice to see if we're gonna be putting a big capital investment to washrooms in there, if there's a way to I know staff resources are always a concern, so if there's a way to automate things and minimize staff implications.
Councillor Adams.
Yeah, I was along the same lines with the bathrooms, but my thing would be, I like the idea of having a permanent install over at Hilda Even, since we are going through the renovation of the property anyways with the sewer and the water lines. It also gives us a good test to see how well used it is, how often it's used, how often we're going to have to service it, whether it is once or twice. And we learned that in our first year of operation. This gives us time then in their next budget to discuss bringing another one in for Schroeder Park, in which case we can decide where it's allocated, where it's either easy access for a sewer truck to be able to pump out, or if we're looking at it's not even feasible because of what we find out on the other one. So I would like to see us still move forward with something like this. I definitely like the idea, but use Hilda Even as a learning experience and then translate it to our next our most popular park in town, which is Schroeder Park.
Any other discussion? Councillor Hughes,
Be resolved that council accept this report as information.
discussion, call the question, those in favor, that is carried. Keep rolling, Kush.
So this is the same report that I presented in the last meeting. So the recommendation was deferred in the last meeting pending a legal review, and we completed that. And the recommendation was to award the construction contract to E-Construction.
Legal didn't make a well, they just said not to proceed down the other road, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, discussion, questions, Councillor Drew?
I was gonna make a motion.
Sounds groovy.
Okay, be it resolved that council awards the construction contract for Third Street Southwest Road Rehabilitation Project to E-Construction, a division of MPA Limited, in the amount of $2,671,336 plus GST.
Discussion,
Yes.
Councillor Adams.
Sorry, it's just because I wasn't here at the last
That's great.
meeting. Are we taking into account with this repair that we're doing on that whole street as to either narrowing that street or, because it's a really wide, lots of pavement, huge parking, almost to the point of being excessive. And also doing all repairs necessary under that pavement. I understand you've already tested that with the spot repairs on the sewer and all that kind of stuff. but
yeah.
What about the actual width of it?
So the width is basically in line with our development standard for a residential, like a minor collector, that street can be classified as a minor collector. And the width of the existing road is basically in line with the minimum width of a minor collector. per
It seems
se.
about 10 feet too wide or more. I mean, for the amount what is the usage on that street? From anything I understand of that street, it is almost dead ever since the mall got built.
But the street is also actively used as a bypass for Main Street. So people tend to use that a lot, bypassing.
Councillor Hughes?
I would have to say I disagree with you very strongly. That is a very busy street. I used to live on Second Ave Northwest, and that is like a thoroughfare through town all the time. I think it feels a little bit wider because there's not homes and parking on the other side opposite the street, but I wouldn't want to mess with the width of the street. People have extra space, good for them. Let's leave them alone. It's my 2 cents.
Just more money. Okay.
Any,
don't care.
I don't care. Any other discussion? Motion on the floor, call to question those in favor. That is carried. Thank you, Kush.
Thank you.
Gary, back to you, sir.
So going back to about last February or so, when we passed the strategic plan with council, the mayor and I had a conversation around bringing it back, a review and update as to where we're at with things from an administrative standpoint. So we're providing this to council for your information. I'm just going to go through a couple of the highlights. I'm not going to go through every progress update, but certainly the intent of this is to give council information of where we're at. Going forward in the future, it might be something that council may want to change up some of the projects and amend the plan to change up some of the projects and initiatives as we're getting more and more things completed. That's certainly council's prerogative to amend the plan in the future. But just under economic health, just a few of the highlights that have been completed. And I think we all know that, the economic development plan was brought forward and approved by council earlier this year. We've entered into the MOU with Alberta Parks, the MD, in terms of the operation of the Devonshire Beach. Construction of Renee Hall Plaza and some of the adjacent areas is back on and moving forward. And so there's lots of activity in that area. The challenge, of course, has been some of the staffing and resources, and we appreciate having a service contract with a provider that can help continue to move some things along, even though they have their limitations in that not being local. Certainly, we're still working on trying to attract an economic development officer for the town. Moving on into livability. Certainly there's a number of pieces that are going, but I think that there are some things such as a lot of effort is being put into trying to bring back more programming in terms of our recreation types of programming that we're offering to the community. Addition of leaving Ice Inn and Arena 1 has been a big change in operations. And certainly there's been a large uptake from some of the users around that. And also Splash Park. We just talked about that tonight, but that's something that, it's a milestone that we're moving forward with. Under governance, I think internally within the town of Slave Lake, there's been a significant effort made around recruitment and trying to fill up some of the vacant positions. Compensation survey is underway. And a lot of focus is also some focus, I should say, is trying to promote the mental health of staff and working on the culture internally within the organization. Moving on to relationships and partnerships. I think one of the highlights there is that we are doing some things to try to meet or follow along with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report in terms of we've provided Indigenous cultural training to council and staff. We are working on a land acknowledgement, will be coming soon. And, there are some things that are certainly happening in that realm. And so again, is another one that's continuing to move forward. Under communication, there's certainly working on trying to make sure that operational information is communicated to the public. I know our operations department, as an example, are doing weekly updates, something that they haven't done before around where they're at, what they're working on through social media. We've been certainly trying to really enhance our internal communication within our organization, because that was an area that needed to be beefed up. And we're even doing things like media training for staff and council coming up. Looking at some of the other things in terms of community, that positive engagement. We've got our digital marketing campaign that's ongoing, and looking at our branding pieces that will be coming forward to a future council meeting as well. So those are just some of the highlights of some of the things we've achieved. I mean, bearing in mind, this has only been not even 6 months since this was approved. So we just wanted to bring that back and let council know where we're at, and kind of we'll continue working on it and continue providing those updates about twice a year for council. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions? Not, okay, Counselor Ward, there's gotta be one question.
I'm just gonna make a comment. I just wanted to say, I really like the communication piece and this coming back to us. I know we just did this in November, and I haven't been obviously on previous councils, but something visual like this for us is really great to see. And I encourage when you vacate the acting CAO role and the new CAO takes place next week, we would love to see this moving forward, because seeing this document, I know we've all been feeling a little bit stuck and like overwhelmed with meetings and things like that, but seeing this document actually makes me personally feel like we're at least moving forward a little bit.
Any other comments? Counselor Adams,
Motion to accept as information.
discussion, call to question those in favor, that is carried. Gary again, please.
So the next one, as you know, each month we pick a couple of pieces of the strategic plan and try to fine tune them and see what council would like to do with them. This one is around data-based. So I think that was an area that we wanted more